Welcome to the Morse Code Podcast, where we talk with entrepreneurially minded creatives in music, film, and writing. My name is Corby, and I'm hoping these conversations inspire you to push deeper into your own work, whether you're a full-time professional or just starting out on your own creative odyssey. This episode is sponsored by WriterFest, a creative gathering for aspiring writers, published authors, screenwriters, poets, and songwriters. Attendees enjoy keynote talks by the best book, song, and screenplay writers in the business, as well as in-depth breakout sessions with professional editors, literary agents, filmmakers, and music industry insiders. WriterFest is happening November 22nd and 23rd. That's just a few weeks from today. Find out more information on writerfestnashville.com. My next guest is film director Mila Vilaplana. Originally from Cuba, Mila's been active in the States for 10 years now with multiple films to her credit and multiple awards. I caught her latest project, Beneath the Veil, last month at the Nashville Film Festival and found it, well, intimidating. We're collaborating on a project in early 2025, and in the meantime, I wanted to get her on the podcast and find out where she got this unique aesthetic and how she feels about the future of indie filmmaking, and get her response to my observation that she's one of the most in-demand collaborators on the scene. If you get something out of the Morse Code Podcast, do us a favor and rate us 5 stars on the platform you're using right now, or if you're watching, like and subscribe. And now, here's my conversation with Mila Vilaplana. If I say this Mila Vilaplana, is that the correct?
It's perfect.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you said it on your little thing today, your promo, and it was perfect.
Thank you. I'm so glad you said that because I said it 3 or 4 times. And I was like, I think it's this one. And I went with that.
I've gotten called Mila before, and it's like...
That seems embarrassing.
It's so bad.
For that person
I'm like,
who said that.
I always feel like I need to correct people, and I do, and I don't care. I'm like, it's Mila. It's Mila.
And I think I learned like eight seconds ago that it's Mila is short for Camila.
Yes.
That's fair.
Yeah, Camila.
Camila.
But I hate Camila.
Mila's cool.
Mila's cool. Like, Camila is like my parents.
Who has time to say,
yelling
Camila?
At me? Yeah, exactly. It's too long.
Yeah. It's a scolding.
Yeah, exactly. I was a bad teenager, so I was always grounded, and he was always like, Camila. And I was like, oh my God, what now?
Well, Mila, I'm really excited to talk to you because I've been a fan ever since, I'm new to the fandom.
Okay.
Add my name to the list. Ever since The Making last year, which was your film, which basically destroyed the 48-hour film festival in Nashville, like won every award.
Except for best film, but sure.
Well, there was one, but as far as I was concerned, that was the most artful and edgy would be a word I would apply, and also unnerving, which I think is a high achievement in film, and that's harder to do, I think, than almost anything else. You can like gross somebody out or like have blood go everywhere, and that's wonderful in its way. Mm-hmm. But to be truly unnerving is a whole nother level, I feel like.
I love it. That's what I aim for.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Well, you nailed it. And I was like, that girl. I'm scared and I want to know more. And then I've worked with, is it fair to say partner or your Taylor?
My partner.
Your partner, Taylor, on a project of Rand and I's. And so I just have been a fan of what's going on in this corner of the filmmaking universe. And I'm really excited to get to talk to you.
I'm excited to talk about it. He inspires me a lot. So.
Yeah, well, he's an inspiring guy.
Yes.
Well, let's see. Let me start by asking you this. I've been thinking about your origins as a Cuban. And then I thought, in America, the idea of Cuba has such a romantic notion. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, having grown up on the inside, was that your experience or what? Maybe that's also a way for me to ask you what brought you to the States. I'm guessing that you came here with your folks to Nashville from Cuba. Mm-hmm. Do you care to tell that story?
Yeah, I wouldn't romanticize living in Cuba as much as people in America do. Mm.
It's not just 50s cars.
Yeah, no. The 50s cars are beautiful, but the buildings are falling apart and the people are very poor.
Yeah.
I was very lucky to have a mother that worked in the tourism industry. So she was always traveling and working for hotels, and she was very high up. So I had a very different upbringing than other people in Cuba do. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mom. But yeah, I wouldn't really romanticize my time there. I haven't really gone back since, I want to say 2016, maybe. My grandpa died, and since then I just haven't wanted to go back. But my dad, who's also a film director, he's always been very like outspoken about the government in Cuba. He makes a lot of political films, like very heavy political films. If you think the making makes you unnerving, like my dad's films will make you feel, horrified, because he exposes what happened to the political prisoners in Cuba in the 50s and 60s.
Did he make those films in Cuba?
No, he made them in Miami. So my dad left Cuba when I was 2 years old, and I didn't see him again until I was like 13. So I basically grew up with like an idea of my father and admiring him. And then when I got to meet him, it was like meeting a whole, different person, which I don't know. I guess I draw a lot of inspiration from him. And every time I have a question about filmmaking, I ask him. He's been a really like a guiding light for me. But his films are very political and, very heavy against or talking about the reality in Cuba, which I respect and admire, but that is something that I'm really like not interested in doing. My films, as you can tell, are very like just
otherworldly.
Other realities is what I'm interested in. Correct.
I don't want to dwell on Cuba, but I just want to point out that there's this famous long shot. I think that I wrote it down. The director, Mikhail Kalatazov. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's called like Soya Cuban.
So Cuba, I have not seen it.
Oh my God!
I know,
I haven't seen the film, but that
I
shot
know.
is so astounding. You should, when we're done at some point tonight, you can find it on YouTube. That's how it came across on a feed on my YouTube thing one day, and it is like as breathtaking as they say. It's it's black and white. It's like 1962, long before drones obviously, but even it's like impossible to achieve with a crane shot. And I don't know how he made this shot, and I hope that I never find out. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things
You just want to
like,
keep it mystery.
The mystery is the best.
Yeah.
I find that living in mystery is in a way like in our best interest, in my best interest as a creator, and as somebody who's always trying to like unlock a secret, be it a musical, is the way that I came into this. Like when I was really trying to learn how to play guitar, I'd like hear a guitar player, and first you hear it and you're like, I want to know how to do that. And then you kind of learn how to do it and you figure it out. And as soon as I would figure those things out, it would lose that allure, And I feel like the process of like artistic discovery is one of being enchanted, moving to unlock the mystery of the source of the enchantment, and then being sort of disillusioned because the thing that enchanted you is now sort of a mundane thing that you can just like duplicate a cheap trick. So anyway, that's why
you're not the first person to bring this up to me, so I feel like it is. I have to watch this now.
Yeah, you have to watch it.
I'm putting it on my list.
Okay.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. Well, moving on from that, everyone watched Soya Cuban, just that one clip. Okay, so you moved to the States in 2011.
2011. I've been here for quite a bit.
And that's when you started making movies yourself.
I was acting at the time. So I went to MTSU. I went to MTSU for theater and dance.
Shout out MTSU.
True Blue, no. But I was pursuing an acting career. And actually, when I graduated MTSU, my dad, at the time, he was filming in Mexico City. And he was like, there's so much opportunity here. There's a lot of productions being filmed in Mexico. You should come here. And so I moved to Mexico City with him. He was there for 2 months and then he left. And then I stayed in Mexico City alone for like a year. And then I just started missing home a lot. So I ended up moving back. Didn't do a lot there, but I did take some dialect classes. So I can do some accents in Spanish. I mean, I like to think that I can, but not really.
But you're fluent in Spanish.
I am, yeah. But like, learning different dialects. Yeah.
How do you feel about, this is just kind of apropos of nothing, but as somebody who's traveled internationally and experienced cultures other than this very comfortable culture that is common American life, how do you feel like that's affected your perspective on life, both just like onto your life and also as a filmmaker?
Every time I go somewhere new, I'm like, I want to live here. And I think that's the best way of learning a place, is like getting to experience the culture and the people. And it just teaches me so much more about life, and like how much, you can sometimes focus on a problem, and it's like life is so much bigger than that. The world is so much bigger than that. Why am I dwelling on this small little thing when there is just so much more to live and experience out there? I'm constantly inspired by things or like, events outside of America. When I lived in Barcelona for a few months a couple of years ago, and I remember going to this flamenco show with my best friend there. And I just like, I was crying. I was so moved by this show, you know, flamenco, right? Like the dancing.
Yeah.
And they're just dancing and singing. And I was like, I'm going to write a short film about this and I'm going to have a dancer. And like, I came up with this whole idea and then I didn't do anything with it, but it definitely like inspired me in some way. And I think I've been able to find a little bit of that everywhere I've lived. I've lived so many places.
Yeah, it sounds like you have. And at the beginning, when you said this, you said, I like to come back to, I always like coming back to America. And I can relate to that a lot as somebody. I've traveled a fair bit for a white yokel from Idaho, but I've really enjoyed traveling and experiencing other cultures. I've always wanted to go as slowly as possible, so that I could just like talk to people rather than just see something, you know, and then just like take a picture of it and move on. But granted, it's still superficial to some extent, you know, experience of the other. But then to like come back and sort of like assimilate that into my worldview, it's been very, both for me, like humbling to realize like, oh, my perspective isn't the only one out there. There's a zillion perspectives out there, but also you can't help but compare the problems and opportunities of other places to the ones that you face back home. And can I tell you a really quick story? Which I went to Italy once as an undergrad. I had this. I majored in like basically great books was my major, and the professor was his specialty was medieval studies in Italy, and he took. Whatever, we kind of like tricked him. Me and like 4 other students that were really interested. We went to Florence and Rome with him. I don't
love Rome, but I love Florence.
I do. Florence is very easy to love.
Yeah.
And so we were there, and he's like, it was like a whirlwind tour of maybe 10 days. I remember the first night we'd sit down to this like 3-hour Italian meal, and I'm just like, oh my God, these people know how to eat. Like this is how you should live. This is the way to do it. Here we are like eating in our cars, drive-throughs, McDonald's, it's just like embarrassing. I was embarrassed for Americans. And having on the, like, as time went on, I like came out of the other side of that experience being like, damn, these, like, y'all aren't doing anything. There's a lot of hanging out. There's a lot of
lots of
naps.
hanging out and eating and just talking.
And just talking.
And being in the moment.
And I was just like, I realized like, yeah, Americans are, is, you know, call us idiots. And in some ways that's really justified, but we're restless.
Yeah.
There's this urgency to get out there, go, discover, live. And I was like, you know, that was the first time in my life I realized like, oh, good things and bad things about everything. It's not perfect where I live, but I think I'd take it. You know, I like came back and was like, oh, I had a new appreciation for where I was from, having seen something else, even while I really appreciated the other thing. Yeah. I made that about me, so forgive
No,
me
you're
about
okay.
that.
I think with saying that, I think I live in like a constant state of nostalgia, always like missing, like, oh, you know, when I was in Barcelona, it was so nice and I would do this and that, or like when I was in Mexico City, this, or when I was in LA, and it's like, okay, what am I enjoying of my life right now? Like, it really forces you to stop and be like, stop looking at old pictures, stop scrolling through your phone and albums from like 2022. What am I doing right now that I could like just enjoy and like be in the moment and be present? And that's something that, shout out Taylor, he's always like helped me slow down and be like, just live right now. Stop worrying about that. Stop worrying about the future. Just what are you enjoying right now? Be here with me, be present. And that is something that like I've just had to work really hard on. Yeah.
What a living saint that man is.
Yeah, I know, he really is.
Well, let's talk about influences, visually and otherwise, because I just recently experienced at the Nashville Film Festival Beneath the Veil for the first time and was blown away with the visual feast that it was. First of all,
thank you.
I feel like as somebody whose storytelling is not visually oriented or strong myself, I'm always enamored with people who that's so obviously one of their fortes. So well done. And where did that come from?
Beneath the Veil, or like just inspiration in general?
Yeah, just like your visual approach to filmmaking. Or would you say that you are primarily like, is it visual first? Do you think in images?
Yeah, for sure. We were speaking about this earlier off camera, but I just love beautiful things that you can look at, like just aesthetics and just stylized things. I also enjoy things that are just not the normal world, the normal reality that we live in. And I think ever since I was a kid, that was a big thing for me because I was always reading, and I still read a lot. So I was just trying always to escape the banality of like the everyday. It's like, this is kind of boring. I hate this. So with my filmmaking, I want to just show something different, a different reality that's a little bit more beautiful, that, I don't know, I love production design and just style. And I would say that my biggest influence for that as a director is Dario Argento, you know, the original Suspiria from 1977.
No, but I'm going to write it down.
You should. And he popularized the genre in Italy called giallo, which is a subgenre of horror. It's basically like slashers, but he made his films beautiful, like gorgeous sets, gorgeous production design, the outfits, everything was so stunning. And then he just has like people dying and bleeding and like beautiful women, often naked, but like the woman body is beautiful. So the female body is beautiful. But yeah, it's just so bloody and beautiful to look at. And I think that has like stayed with me. And I'm like, I want to do stuff like that. Like, I just want to create something stunning to look at that makes you feel unsettled, but you're like, this is just wonderful. Like, I don't want to look away because I'm just so enamored by the visuals of it, you know?
Yeah, I feel like there's an approach to storytelling and filmmaking that I think I'm closer to, which is like, let's tell something that's close to life that people can recognize in themselves. But then there's another approach. It's just like, let's make something that takes us far away from this boring place that we all have to live in and go back to.
Absolutely.
So I salute you. And that is like one of the things when I watch visually opulent films, I do stand and see them like as an outsider in awe, you know, like in the best way, like a little kid, you know, which is like going back to that mystery thing. There's like this element of mystery, I think, in that film, in Beneath the Veil, I'm sorry, that has some of that.
Yeah.
Can you tell me where that is at right now and what I know that you've already moved on. I think that it's not like on the film festival circuit, or maybe it is still.
Yeah. It got into a film festival in Italy. I need to confirm the dates for it, but I think that'll be the last I do with it. I'll probably just put it online after that. Beneath the Veil was mostly like an exercise for me. I actually shot it before I did the making last year, and it took me a while to make it come together. And I was trying to edit it all myself, and then I was like, I can't. It's bigger than what my skill with editing is. So I got Jay Curtis Miller to help me editing, and he did a wonderful job to make it, you know, make sense. But I was just exploring different styles. So like the very first one, Ophelia, I was very inspired by this movie, Carnival of Souls. It's a horror movie from like, I want to say the 40s. And I was just trying, you know, pulling inspiration from different things, trying to like see what I would do with that. But Ophelia is also a character from Hamlet. She dies in a river. She kills herself. And, you know, so I was like, okay, what can I do with this? So I did like a retelling of it. The second episode, Ferris, is very much inspired by Twin Peaks. And my friend Sammy Hearn, who's the actress in it, I wanted to do something that I knew she was going to enjoy. And I know she loves like Twilight Zone and X-Files and Twin Peaks. So I was like, let's write something that you're going to enjoy doing and that I'm going to be able to explore visually, something new for myself. And then for Glaucus is, in Greek mythology, this fisherman that eats this algae and becomes a merman. So I was like, okay, how can I play around with that and like make it a little bit more modern and just play around with the style? And yeah, it was like
to portray that with a pool boy.
Yeah, sure. So I just, you know, threw a bunch of stuff together and I was like, okay, how can I make this make sense? Because it was supposed to be different episodes. And then I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to turn it into a short film as an anthology, something has to like drive it together. And that honestly came together in the editing room. But it was just mostly an exercise for me as a filmmaker to see what I'm good at or like what I enjoy visually. You know, a lot of it is not going to repeat in my work in the future. But I learned about it. Like I learned from it. So
absolutely. Let's talk about this leap that every filmmaker has to make if they are to make a film at all, which is like that leap from this thing that exists in your mind or on paper or in storyboards to a finished film. I think that one of the reasons for this podcast is sort of just to inspire folks that are on their own journey and empower them to make that leap. Because there's a lot of people that have great ideas that somehow can't quite bring them forward. So why is it that you have been able to make that leap, if you might speculate? And how do you see that process as a filmmaker in terms of like inspiring talented other people and having the organizational power and the backbone, to see a thing all the way through? I don't know. Talk at that.
I think with every project it's different. And I can see the growth I've made since like the very first thing I did, which was as a director, it was 48-hour film project the year before the making. So like I've only done like 4 short films. But that very first one, I was like, okay, let's just do it, And like now looking at it, it's like, oh, that was rough, but I learned a lot from it. But I met a lot of people in that first set that were just like friends or like friends of friends. That
on the set of the making?
No. It was called Patience, Mr. Kennedy. So the making was my second 48-hour film project. So
year was...
The year before that, it was Patience, Mr. Kennedy. And it didn't win anything, but it got nominated for a bunch of stuff. So I'll take that. But, growth. But I met a lot of people in that set through other people that were just down to make things. And I think at the very like core of creating, you just got to find the people that are down to just make things with you, because you're not always going to have the money to make something happen. So you just got to be like, hey, I believe in this thing. Do you believe in me trying to make this thing together? Or sometimes you can just be like, hey, if you help me edit this, I'll AD for you, which is what I've done a lot of times. It's like, I'll help you out if you help me out. And finding that community of people that are just willing to like trust you and play around with you, I think is what can make a difference. Yeah. I mean, even with the making, if we talk about it, like I had to convince a lot of people to be like, hey, believe me, it's going to be good. I promise. Like, just do it. Like even Taylor, he was like not about to act in it. He was like, it's a 48-hour. Like, I don't know about that. And I was like, come on, dude. Like we were not even dating at the time. And I was like, just trust me. And we had just done Glaucus. And he was like, okay, because we did Glaucus, I trust that it's something could come out of this. And I was like, come on, dude, just do it. So just, I think having people believe in you is a big thing. And I'm lucky enough to have met so many people that are like, down to play around with me, because it could be a mess.
Yeah. But people, take a chance, and then you start to establish a track record, you make one film and it was good and a good experience. Yeah. And then people who worked with you, the word gets out a little bit. I think it's also one of the reasons why the 48-hour film festival is such a great opportunity for filmmakers starting out, is that there's sort of there's a limit, from the people that are like, I guess I'll take a chance on Mila or Corby. Like worst case scenario, I'm done in 48 hours. Sure. And then there's also just like this, it's not, everyone's kind of thrown in together. Anyway, so you did that. You had like a good experience, and then it was easier the next year to get people on board, because the first time was okay. Yeah. It was probably some similar crew, fair to say?
Honestly, not really. Some people, some people. Yeah, some people. But through them, I met a lot of other people. So like, I think that's just the way it goes. It's like with the making, it opened the doors for me in Nashville in a bigger way than I could have imagined. Because like with you even said it, like you saw me winning all of those awards and you're like, who is this girl? So like that helped me be a little bit more seen in Nashville, which helped me to like, now the next project, Deadland, so many people were down to be a part of it, even if there was like no monetary contribution or like, payment for them. Like they were just down to be a part of something that they were like, oh, she's done something good in the past. I believe in her doing something good in the future.
Yeah, awesome. Let's talk about Deadland then.
Okay.
So that's a project that is in post now.
Post-production.
Yeah, and you guys raised some real money for it.
We raised some real money. It took a lot of posting every day. I'm begging everybody, but yeah.
That's what it. Yeah.
Begging for $5.
I know.
I'll take it.
I know it so well, so well. So you did that. It's you and MK.
MK Cop, yeah.
Cop are the co-writers.
She wrote it. And she also wrote the making. So like we've been working together for a while. I adore her. She acts.
I'm a fan also.
Yeah, she's great.
Get her on the pod.
Yeah, you too. She acts as well, and she acted in The Making. She acts in Deadland too. So yeah, I enjoy writing, but it's not my forte, and I can admit that. That's okay. So I love directing things that she writes. They're fun. They line up with what I envision too. And she's one of those writers that takes feedback very openly. And if I'm like, I don't know if this works or not, she can be like, okay, let's adjust it. Like, she's willing to work with me on that. Or like, if she's like, no, I really strongly believe in this, I'm like, okay, let's do it. Then, you know, like, we are very like collaborative with each other. We trust and believe in each other. So that's made it easier to work with her. But yeah, she wrote Deadland and I directed it, and the two of us co-produced and raised money for it.
And are you you yourself editing, or?
No, Jay Miller was the editor.
He is also.
He also did Beneath the Veil, yeah.
Awesome. How is that? Let's see. You know, there's that famous saying that's like, you make a movie 3 times. Once when you write it, once when you film it, and a third time when you edit it. I feel like, as somebody who's gone through the process a few times, I'm not saying I'm, you know, an ancient master, but my experience has been that edit is such a powerful aspect of the storytelling. And are you, to that extent, are you sitting in on the editing sessions? Is he sending you edits?
Sometimes I will sit with him. Sometimes, yeah, like the very first round for Deadland, we had a picture locked in like, honestly, like less than a month. But he threw together everything, and then he came over and we watched it, and I was like, this is not necessary. This is how it needs to be. This is how I want this scene to feel. And he also, I mean, he edits for a living, so he has a really good editing style that lines up with what I like. So it was, again, very collaborative. But like, after he came over the first time, he would edit it and then send me stuff. And then it's on Framio, so like, you know, you get to add your notes every like other second or whatever. You can stop and add a notes. And he would just get like so many notifications from me. Mila left a comment. Mila left a comment. And he was like, are you done yet? I'm like, sorry, I have a lot of editing notes. But I'm so thankful for him. He put up with me, and I think we did like maybe 7 revisions of it. And then we were like, okay, we're good. Picture lock.
That's, I think that, well, I've never heard of Framio, so I'm going to write that down for my own
I
future
think I'm pronouncing it right. Framio, Frame.io. Yeah, something like that.
But I understand this from the audio perspective. Like, a lot of times if you're having somebody mix a song, it's like, it can be helpful to be in the room, but also can be more expedient to not be in the room and let them do their thing. And then you listen and you're like, you can be very specific. And so it sounds like a very, you know, similar advantage. I just finished post on our new short film that has Taylor, our favorite
Save the Boy
actor, Save the Boy in it. And I had a similar experience with you where I wrote and directed it, and we shot it, and it was so much fun. I have some of the happiest memories of the last 2 years of my life were on set with that film. It was 4 days, and it's so wonderful. And then begins the post-production process, which is sad and lonely.
Yep. I know. It's like I had all these people helping me pre-production and production, and then now I'm like, I have to make all the decisions myself. Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah, and I got it similar to you, and I got it. I edited it. I made a pass. I made another pass. I got it to a point, and I'm just like, I can't finish this. Yeah. And that was annoying for me to realize that, as somebody who's like, I fucking see it through. You know, if I set out to do something, I'm going to do it. And I really was just at my wit's end, and I'm like, I don't know how to make this done. And so it was really helpful. I had Kate Jones, who edited our 48-hour film that our friend Tyler Weisenhower directed.
Mine. Yep.
Yes. Oh, you know what? I mean, who knows? It's lost in the mists of time.
I love that short film. It's so good.
Thanks. That was really fun. As an aside, it was very uncomfortable to watch it on the screen at the Nashville Film Festival because it was so big, and I'm just like, you know, I'm not like a capital A actor, but if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it all out. But well, whatever. It's just like, it was so big, and all my big old face. There's a part of me that's just like, I would be the guy on a film set that would is just as happy holding a boom or like getting coffee for people.
Corby, you are so lucky that you have so much charisma, and I think that like translates a lot through your acting, and like, I think that's all you needed for that role. Like, you're just so charming on screen.
That's very nice of you to say. Even this is making me want to take a break.
Okay, do it.
But my point is that this is really an opportunity to shout out Kate Jones, who saved my ass basically, and it was so nice to hand off the project to somebody I trusted, and also who was like okay with me kind of handing the Da Vinci file over, being like, it's an edit, but and I don't hate all of it. Is it okay if we like work from this rather, because some editors would be like, I want to just start from scratch and make it. And it was very gracious of her to, start there. And granted, it did change. And it was also so nice. Let me back up and just say, one of the things about filmmaking that I love and makes me know that I will be in it for the rest of my life is the collaborative aspect of it. And it's such a joy to work with somebody you trust.
They got your back.
They got your back.
It's so nice.
And they're not like coming at you, like you said, when with MK, with your guys' experience writing that script is like, if you're like, I don't think this is right. And she'll either be like, okay, cool, I'll change it. But if she has a stronger feeling, I feel like that is the best simpatico situation for two creative people. It's kind of like the person who feels strongest wins. Yeah. And that's probably the right decision. Yeah. You know what I mean? But sometimes it's really hard. That's a difficult balance to strike, and it's only possible with compatible personalities. I don't know. What I'm saying is, it's a gift to find a good collaborator.
It really is, because same thing with the editing process. It's like, I'm so glad I could be like, oh, I can't do this. This is bigger than me, but I trust you enough that I know you got my back. Like, you are gonna make sure that it looks or like it feels the best it can be, and it's so rare to find that too. And you will run into a lot of people that are not trying to do that with you, and that's how you learn. When you find the right people, it's like, okay, I feel safe with you, and you can feel safe with me, and we got this together. But that comes with having met a lot of people that just weren't the right fit, and that's okay. It's part of the process.
Absolutely. It's an unpleasant part of the process, but
but
it's inevitable. It's a necessary part
absolutely.
of the process. You got to keep trying. You got to step into certain situations. I've been on a number of sets now that were not exactly pleasant for whatever reason, but it's fine because it's not going to last forever, and you always learn. You can't help but learn. So,
absolutely.
Yay that. You were mentioning before we got on camera that you're excited about the prospect of selling Tetlin.
Oh my gosh, I don't want to jinx it.
Well, I don't want you to jinx it either, but maybe I just want to say it's a short.
It's a proof of concept. Yeah, it's a proof of concept short.
So it would be, the idea would be to turn it into a feature, a larger feature.
Correct, yeah. MK's already working on
the feature script itself. I'm very hopeful for that, and that's super exciting.
Thank you. I'm very hopeful too.
And then my assumption from that is that perhaps among your many goals, one of them would be to be a feature director and have that be the game. Absolutely.
I think horror is just like the best genre to get started with, because it's cheapest to make. You can just shoot it all in one location, and you don't need famous actors either to be the face of it, because people just love horror movies.
Yeah, they'll go very strong fan base.
Yeah, they'll go see it just because it's horror. So you don't need all these popular faces that'll cost you so much money to get in your film. And so for my first feature, ideally, it will be breaking in with a horror, and then who knows what I'll make after that, but maybe a thriller. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll
whatever.
see.
That's down the line.
Something beautiful and horrible at the same time. Something that makes you feel like crazy.
You're definitely carving a path.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is great to have such a strong sense of.
My mom's always like, "Why do you like this stuff? Why? I don't understand."
It was so nice until they started bleeding.
Yeah. Well, like when we'll do movie night and I get to pick the movie, she's like, I get it, but like, why? Why did we have to do that? When I was in my Midsommar era, she was like, did we really have to watch this?
That one's a tough one for moms, I feel like.
Yeah.
When you say Midsommar era, what were some other pictures during that era that hang together?
Oh, I think, no, like just when it came out, I just like was so obsessed with it. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love Ari Aster. And then I just was so enamored with Florence Pugh. She's an incredible actress. And I met her in LA at a Zara. We were shopping and I was not going to keep it to myself. I was like, Florence. And she's like, hi. She had just like I mean, she was not the star that she is today. Midsommar had just come out, so she was just shopping at Zara at the Grove. And I was like, I just love your movie, blah, 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 blah. And then she was like, how many times have you seen it? And I was like, 3 times at the theater. And she was like, so you're insane. And I was like, you could say so. Yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah. But then she was like, oh my God, your dress that you're buying is the same dress I'm buying. And I was like, we're meant to be together. I'm going to direct you in a film in the future. I didn't say that, but in my head, I was like, it's going to happen.
You're sowing the seeds.
Yeah. Manifesting.
Just short of trading numbers.
Yeah. I know. I was like, can we take a picture? No, I didn't. I was like, I'm not going to be that person. But now in retrospect, I'm like, I wish I would have asked for a photo. But it's fine. We'll take more in the future.
The story's great, and now it's recorded for posterity. So let me ask you about your feelings of optimism or lack thereof as regards the movie business writ large. I mean, it's a pretty tough time, but maybe it's always a tough time. I tend to be a person who's just like, I don't know. I just want to make art, and hopefully we can figure out how to pay your rent. Yeah. Afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it's the past few years have been rougher.
I feel.
Yeah, I think even before COVID, everything was like so strange with the movies. It's not what it used to be. But there have been a few films in the past couple of years that have come out that make me hopeful for, the future of filmmaking. And I would like to hold on to that.
Like what?
Oh my God, the most recent one I watched that I was like, this is it, was The Substance. Have you heard of it?
No.
Oh my gosh. It's by this French filmmaker, and I don't want to say her name because I'm going to butcher it. But it stars Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. And it's just visually insane. If you enjoy my style, you'll definitely like what you're going to see in The Substance. But it's telling a very real story about, what society tells women they should look like, or like hitting 50 years old and like not being beautiful enough for a camera anymore, or like that's it, like that you can't do anything else after that. But it's told from like a grotesque point of view, I guess. Like it's just very interesting stylistically. So yeah, I hope they continue to make movies that, and hope I'm part of that too, continue to make movies that have a strong message of our reality, but it's told in like a crazy visual way.
How did you come about knowing of that movie? That is to say, how do you get your movie info? Is it through Instagram that you follow?
No, I listen to this podcast that's called The Big Picture, and they pretty much cover everything that like hits film festivals and like that does really good at festivals, and like things to watch for like Oscar season, or like, stuff like that. And whatever, the Oscars are what they are, but I've always enjoyed the like keeping up with it and seeing what they consider that it's a great film of the year. Because at the end of the day, like those are the films that like a lot of people are look back and it's like, oh yeah, that's what won Best Picture, or like Parasite did this and that. And I would like to see what this community of people think is good, consider good. And I often disagree with everything they pick, but it is what it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
I really loved the last picture. I was just thinking about like, what was the last picture that jumps out that you were like, man, that was ambitious? Was the Triangle of Sadness. That movie was, it just tells a funny, unusual story and goes in a weird place. And I don't know how
it goes crazy.
At the end of it. And at the end, maybe, whatever, no spoilers, but
hated the end. It just lost me. It was so good. And then it got to a point where I was like, really? This is what we're doing now?
Yeah,
why?
I know.
We were so good.
That opening scene is so fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
And this is a quality in pictures that I just love so much. The word is like verisimilitude. But like when you're not quite sure they're actors, like there's a part of that, there's that film. I'm like, I'm not 100% sure that these male models know what's going on here. Yeah. Like, and that is so exciting and electric. Everybody go see Triangle of Sadness, or don't, that's fine too. But let me ask you one other thing too about the visual component of filmmaking, because this is something that I only became aware of maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, as I started to like watch movies with something more than just like a casual interest. You know, for the longest time I was like, I just watched movies like my parents watched movies, or like, you know, anybody would watch a movie. But like getting a little bit more familiar with like opening and closing shots, and you know, like the power of the image to underscore like the thematic intent. Do you think that way specifically, like with like an opening shot? Do you like go, you know, are you?
Yes. I think one of my favorite things to do when I go see a movie at the theater is, what is going to be the first shot that this movie opens up with? It's like such like it's the doors opening to that world that we're about to be, you know, introduced to. So it's always been something that I'm like, how did this director or writer choose to get us there, you know? Yeah, so I think they have to be captivating, and they have to like say a lot about what we're about to experience in some way. And that's why I just love like adding a little bit of, you know, my visual flair to it, because I think from the get-go I want people to see, oh, this is what we're here for, like this is what this is going to look like, and this is the journey that we're about to envision, or like that we're about to go on. It's incredibly important to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like if you see an amazing opening shot, as an audience member, you go like, okay, we're in good hands here.
Right. Yeah, it's like,
this
okay,
is not
cool.
accidental.
Yeah. Or you could also be like, oh no.
Do you have an idea of a good opening shot in another film that comes to mind?
Oh my gosh.
I'll share one while you're thinking of yours. You think of yours, and I'll say.
Oh
I'll share
no.
mine.
Okay. All right.
No test if you don't think it. No worries if you don't think of one.
There's so many.
Yeah. There's one that I came across that just still blows my mind. I can picture everything about it, and it's the opening shot of "Come Hell or High Water" by Taylor Sheridan, and it's a bank robbery is about to happen, but the camera, it's a 360 pan in an abandoned parking lot in like probably a West Texas town. Definitely not a set; it's on location. That's part of my fascination with it, because it feels like like it has the allure of a found object, because the camera it follows this car, and the car goes behind a building, the camera keeps rotating, and then when it swivels back around, there's some kind of it shows the brick wall of this bank building, and there's 3 crosses like in Calvary, like as a part of the building's design, and the way it rests on that, and then the car comes through and parks, and then the movie rolls on. It's just like, it's so deliberate, and so like it kind of announces the stakes of the movie right from the get-go. Yeah. And then there's the additional, to me, allure, the genius of it having been found. Like, you know, it's not like a construct that happened on a set. It was just like somebody, the Taylor or the DP was just like, check this out. If we do it like this. Yeah.
You can tell. It's like, oh, somebody was like, oh, I have an idea.
Yeah. And that's like one of the things I think is so wonderful about filmmaking. And I'd love to get your take on this is there's never enough money. It's almost like no matter how much money you have, it's never enough. No. And so you always have this, like, it's always a limiting factor. So what can you do? And to me, like the limits are a prerequisite for elegance. And I love seeing and having, I love even having that challenge, and like, what can we do? Like, and what have you experienced of that? Is there a story that you have that comes to mind of?
Let me answer the first question first, which is the opening shot.
Your opening shot.
And I'm only going to say this one because I just watched this last night for my friend's birthday. We had like an outdoor movie night with like a projector, and it was La La Land. And I think the opening shot of La La Land is so iconic. It's like, I don't know if you remember, but it's like that super long shot of them in the highway. They block the highways in Hollywood, and they're just having like this big dance number during the traffic moment. And it's like what you were saying about the stakes. It like instantly, it's like, oh, we're about to watch like this amazing musical that people like, you know, it's like so well crafted and detailed. Like, I don't know how many times they had to do that one take, you know, to get it right. Because it just takes like, it was like, I don't know how many dancers, like maybe 200 of them. And like the amount of precision, like nobody can mess up. If somebody messes up, we're done. We have to do it again. So to open up with that, it's like, oh, this is a beautiful world we're about to enter.
Yeah, and it's like that where the fantastical meets the real too,
Exactly.
which is what La La Land is all the way through.
Magical.
It's like, it could take place in the here and now, anywhere in Hollywood, and it does, but it's also this parallel world,
but it doesn't.
Happening at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's so fantastic. Okay, that was one. Now, what about limits and
oh my gosh,
how to pull off stuff?
I think I just walk around set thanking everyone and hugging them and just being like, I'm so thankful that you're here. Like, that is like my big thing is, let's talk about Deadland. Like, we raised all that money and it still wasn't enough. And, we were not able to pay everybody what they deserve. Everybody's severely underpaid, if not paid at all. Thank you, everybody. And it's, again, they're there because they believe in us. They trust us. They want to be a part of something that, I don't know, that could be great. So it adds a lot of pressure. Also, with all the people giving money, it adds a lot of pressure to you to be like, I need to deliver something that I'm going to be proud of, but they're going to be glad that they gave me even $20, So I think just ensuring that people have a good time on set, not being rude, just being kind to everyone, thanking everyone for being there, and not just like walking around and saying it, but like with your actions, like be welcoming to everybody and just have good vibes. It's like the way of like getting through that. Because I mean, up to this point, I've not made anything that I had enough money for. So my way of getting through it is just being kind to people, I guess, letting them know that I appreciate them for being there.
Also, like what you were saying with your investors, of like having, it's a form of a return on investment, even if they're giving you $10. Like, you want to make sure that you deliver a picture at the end, and not something that's like, yeah, exactly. And that, I feel like that mentality is going to carry you a long way, because in some ways that game never changes as the investors get bigger. The investors become, banks or production companies.
Ideally.
And ideally, like hopefully. But then, that having a picture is like making the money back.
Yeah.
And there's a famous story of a now disgraced director, Woody Allen, but the story was inspiring to me when I first read it, because he, got $1 million to make his first film in the 70s, it would have been, and the movie made like $1.5 million, and he was so happy because it was enough to make another one. And all of his pictures never make a huge money, but they're very, they're artful, and I recognized in him as a young person that those pictures and the charm and the small world of them was something that I wanted to be part of, as opposed, like the Star Wars pictures, I love those big scale pictures, but that was just so big that was what something like Hollywood did. And those stories were so, I was like, maybe I was like, the artifice of that story is fun, but I loved the human drama of things, and also just like the doability of it. If you can tell a story with just, essentially people talking that people want to watch. Yeah. I'm like, I don't like the game. You like that game. Yeah, I like it. I do like it. Maybe that's just I don't dream big enough, but I think I dream pretty big. It's okay.
I think you do.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
We're all dreaming in our own way. It's just interesting to see what attracts you, at an early age. That's why I wanted to know about your origins aesthetically, is because there's no, you can't self-determine what charms you. It's something that seizes you, and that's like sets your course for what it's going to be in the future. So I feel like your future is very bright.
Thank you, Corby.
Yes. You're
I hope
so
the universe
young.
hears you.
No, I mean, for what it's worth, universe, give her what she wants. She's going to make that money go a long way.
Thank you, universe.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time.
Oh my God, thank you for having me.
I know you have a really busy day, and it's been a really fun conversation for me. And also, I'm grateful to you for indulging me. I feel like I'm still like talking at film from the outside. So I'm just, I'm charmed and inspired.
Thank you. I'm charmed and inspired by you.
And I can't wait to see what happens with Deadland.
Oh my God, I can't wait for you to watch it. It's gonna be great.
When can I? Are you gonna do a local screening, or
I don't know,
friends and family?
We'll see. I might do like a small screening at Soho, but I might just wait until it gets into a film festival.
Yeah.
I might just wait.
Totally.
We'll see. I gotta, talk to MK because we gotta make the decision together. It's
absolutely.
our baby.
We finished Save the Boy, and fighting the same thing. I'm like, should we show it or should we
just wait? Yeah.
But the wait is a long time for our
I
friends.
know.
Well, I don't think that we'll make the wrong decision, whatever we decide.
If you do a secret showing, just let me know. I want to be there.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'll show you yours if you show
Yay! Perfect.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go ahead and click here to like and subscribe. You can click right there to watch another video or click here to watch a playlist featuring the songs of the Morse Code podcast. Okay, thank you very much.